वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
So the class started.
So yes, I see unmuted. Okay. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 23. Please repeat after me. Ye api anya devata bhakta ye api anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha yajante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mam eva kaunteya tepi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam yajanti avidhi purvakam. Let's go line by line. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Epi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Epi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam.
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Yepi anya devata bhakta
Yepi
yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam.
Anyone else?
Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam.
ये अपि अन्य देवता भक्ता ये श्रद्धयान्वितः ये अपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त Purvakam.
यजन्ति
Aviti
अविधिपूर्वकम्
Purvakam.
Okay, so word to word meaning. A, those who.
Those
Those who
Api,
api
Api.
also.
also
Also.
Anya,
Anya
Anya.
of other.
of
of
other
Of other.
Devata,
Devata,
Devata.
gods.
gods,
Gods.
Bhaktaha,
bhakta,
Bhaktaha,
Taha.
devotees.
devotees,
devotees,
Jante,
yajante.
Jante,
worship.
worship,
worship,
Shraddhaya Anvitaha,
Shraddhaya
Shraddhaya
Anvitaha,
Anvitaha.
with faith.
with
with faith,
With
They,
faith.
They
They.
they,
they,
Api,
api
Api,
also.
also,
Also.
Mom,
Mam,
Mom.
me,
me,
Me.
Eva,
Eva,
Eva.
Li,
only
only,
Only.
Kaunteya,
Kaunteya,
O son of Kunti,
O
O
son
son
of
of
O son of
Kunti,
Kunti,
Kunti.
Yajanti,
Yajanti,
Yajanti.
they worship.
they
They
worship
worship.
Vidhi Purvakam,
Avidhi
Avidhi
Purvakam,
Purvakam
Purvakam.
in a wrong way.
in
in
a
a
wrong
wrong
way.
In
way.
a wrong way.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but but they do so in a wrong way. Purport. Persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is offered to me indirectly. Krishna says, for example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to the different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidhi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tashmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakal Patarubeshchi Kripa Sindhubhye Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you all for giving me opportunity to speak this evening on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvad, song of the Lord. So we have many definitions of Bhagavad Gita, and wonderfully we are performing this act of reading scriptures morning and evening, and thankfully all of you are joining almost every day. So yes, I'm missing, I'm sorry for that, but at least I see I listen to the recordings, So I see that many of you are joining. So thank you very much for joining today also. This verse is in the continuation of Lord Krishna explaining about demigod worship, right? So ye apyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mam eva kaunteva yajanti aviti purvakam. The statement I want to point or start with is tepi mam eva kaunteya te api, even though they are worshipping the Lord, they're worshipping the demigods, they're eventually worshipping me. Tepi mam eva kaunteya, that worship is for me only. All right. So when we think about this, very important point comes up. If we see the other Mideast or other religions which were emerged, so they proclaim that they're monotheistic, right? Monotheistic means they follow only one God or no God. So their proclamation is you have to follow only one God, and if you follow any other thing, that's wrong. That's why they started, especially in India. Now we have seen that they started breaking the temples, breaking the deities, and all those unnecessary practices, because they're monotheistic. But Krishna here is very clear. His point is Yajante Shaddayan Vitaha, the one who worships the other gods or the demigods faithfully, they're worshipping me indirectly. Krishna is not saying that there is nothing called as demigod worship. Scriptures, Vedas, they provide the procedures for practicing or worshipping the demigods. All right. So Vedas are what? Vedascha charvai ahameva vedyo. I am the source of all the Vedas. That's what Krishna says, right? So he says that I am the source of the scriptures. Then if Krishna is the source of the scriptures, then where does it come that the scripture says that demigods, scriptures provide the procedures or the processes on how to follow a demigod worship. If you want something, what you have to do. If you want to pray Surya, all the mantras are given. If you want to pray Shiva, all the mantras are given. If you want to, Vedas has the mantras for Shiva, many long pages, big pages. Like we invited a pujari from some temple. I don't want to name the temple, to our house warming ceremony. It was in 2008. So this pujari came from the temple, and while I was driving him home, so he was reading from Vedas, and he was mentioning all the mantras he was reading through were dedicated for the worship of Lord Shiva. So Vedas, the scriptures are giving the source, or scriptures are giving the procedure to perform the deity worship, or to perform the demigod worship, right? Then that worship, whatever you perform to the demigods, Krishna is saying that Tepi mam eva kaunteya, that prayers are there worshipping. If they're worshipping faithfully, that worship is, they're indirectly worshipping me. That's Krishna is saying that, right? Now, when he says that, what does it mean by Ejante Aviti Purvakam? Aviti means it's unauthorized worship. Isn't it contradicting here? Krishna says that Vedascha sarver ahameva vedyo. I am the source of all the Vedas, and that Vedas and the scriptures and everything is emanating from the Krishna himself. That knowledge to write about Vedas is coming from Krishna. Then, and also he says that demigod worship is allowed. Demigod worship is there. The procedures are given in the scriptures. Then what is the definition of Aviti Purvakam here? Aviti means unauthorized way they're doing, or they're doing it in a wrong way. Okay, so let's think about that. First point we covered is the East. There are other religions, they follow my way or no way, right? Or one way. So they're monotheistic. They believe in God, and only one God. Okay. So if they believe in one God, they say any other worship of the gods is untrue, or they don't believe in worship of any other God. That is one extreme. Okay. Now the second point we're pointing here is Krishna is saying that, yes, demigods, there is a process to worship the demigods. If they follow the demigods faithfully, they're worshiping me, okay, indirectly. And that is a wrong way. So if the process is given in the scriptures, okay, that the demigods, how to perform the worship of the demigods, and those scriptures came out from Lord Krishna himself, then why is it avidhi purvakam? Why is it unauthorized? They're written there. Why is it unauthorized? Avidhi purvakam. They're doing it in a wrong way. So to take an example, the scriptures talks about many other things. What are they talk about? They talk about karma kanda, jnana yoga, karma yoga, all of the things. They talk about karma kanda also. Okay, if you want to have a child, pray to this deity. If you want to have a progeny, they say you have to pray to the Prajapati. This is given in Bhagavatam also. So if you want to pray for a good wife or good husband, pray to Parvati. And if you want to be a powerful human being, pray to Lord Shiva. If you want opulence, pray to Indra. If you want heavenly planets, pray to the demigods who lives in the heavenly planets. If you want many things they have given there, right? So all the categories have been given, and the procedures for them also is given. But that is avidhi purvakam. Avidhi purvakam means the main goal of a living entity is going back to Godhead, right? So going back to Godhead, that is the real position, right? The real identity of a living entity is to go back or to serve the Lord. Service is the real identity, and that service putting in the right place, a right attitude, right place with the right attitude, that is serving the Lord, is the correct solution for any living entity, or correct method or correct process for any living entity. Okay, that is why the word avidhi purvakam is given here. Avidhi purvakam means it is not authorized. Why is it not authorized? Because the real purpose of the living entity is not being fulfilled by praying to the demigods. We can pray to the demigods for the material enjoyment, material desires, to fulfill our material desires. But these demigods, these prayers will not give us the ultimate goal of a living entity, will not provide us with the ultimate purpose of this living entity, right? The ultimate purpose is service of the Lord, going back home, back to Godhead. So that cannot be fulfilled, or it's merely impossible for the demigods to provide that boon. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in multiple places that even though a person or a living entity goes to a demigod, the moment he goes to the demigod, his mind, he knows that demigods can fulfill the desires and that tendency of asking that, like Prabhupada gives an example of like a business. If you go to a pharmacy and ask for some medicine, they'll give it to you. They don't, with proper procedure, you take a slip from the doctor and they'll give it to you. They don't see what are the side effects of it. They don't tell you, hey, there are side effects here. There you can fall down, you may get drowsy. No, they don't tell you that. They just give it to you. So now that's a very vague example, but yeah. So if you can connect to that example, in the similar way, if we pray to the demigods, they'll just fulfill that to you. But the problem with that is they're temporary, right? Ravan, he prayed to Lord Shiva. He was cutting his head again and again and again, 10 times, 10 heads he has dedicated, or 10 times he has cut his head, 10 heads, and offered it to Lord Shiva to appease Lord Shiva. Okay. When Lord Ram was shooting the arrow, Parvati Devi says to Shiva, Lord Shiva, that, look, your dearest devotee who has offered you 10 heads to acquire your mercy, he is dying now. Go and protect him. Lord Shiva says that, no, it is his fault and I cannot protect him. I cannot go next to him at this point of time. Okay.
Right.
Can you please
Yeah. Keep
put your
practicing.
notes? Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. So when the same devotee who has dedicated and given 10 heads, one after another, cutting one after another, Lord Shiva was very much impressed, and he was he gave the boon to Ravana to become very powerful, right? That's why he became very, very powerful. That same Ravana, when he was dying, Lord Shiva was not there. He was not there to protect him. That is temporary. The boons which we get from the demigods are temporary. That's only for this material world. They have the boons work only in this material world. Similarly, we know about Lord Brahma. Hiranyakashipu was asking boons left and right. First of all, he asked a boon that, I should not die. Brahmaji mentioned that it's not, I don't have a control. I also die. So how can I not allow you to die? So when you're in this material world, you have to leave this body. So then he tricked him, asking many questions. But at the time of death, the same Lord Brahma, who was very much pleased by the Hiranyakashipu's austerities. Hiranyakashipu was standing on one leg, raising his heels on one leg and raising his hands, pointing his head towards the sky. He was loudly chanting the names of Brahma. His body was eaten away by the ants, and they formed an ant hill. If ants make the ant hill when there is no movement, when they think that this body or whatever the object or the earth is stable enough, then they build the ant hill on that. So ants came there. If there is a living entity or a living body, they don't do it. I mean, if there is a little movement, they don't build a hill on that. So Hiranyakashipu was so austere. He was stable. He was not moving. He was just raising his hands and praying to Brahmaji. Ant hill was formed in him. There was nothing, not even a single piece of muscle or something left over there. But he was still calling out for Lord Brahma. So in that stage, Brahmaji was very much pleased with the call, and he came here. He gave the boons, all the boons he requested. But at the time of when Narsinghadev came, right, he knew that Narsinghadev is about to kill Hiranyakashipu, but he was not there to protect him. That defines the power of their boons. The boons are temporary. They're very temporary. Okay. So now the point is Tepimam eva kaunteya. So Krishna says that if you pray to demigods, you're praying to me indirectly. Yajanti avidipurvakam. But they're doing it, but with in a wrong way. So they're praying, but they're doing it in a wrong way. So why doing it indirectly? Why can't we do it directly? Right? So that is the point of this verse, and I have few other topics or few other points which I want to discuss today. So Krishna says that the difference between praying to the Lord and the other gods. He explains chapter 7, Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, 20, 21, 22. He gives all the verses there, right? What does he say? He says that Kamaistaister hita gnanaha prapadyanti anya devataha tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. And the next verse is, I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship me, worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. So that is the mercy of the Lord. So when we are praying to the demigod, it is not that we have when we are praying to the demigod, it's not that we are doing it with our will. When the desire comes up, Krishna says that as a super soul, I'm sitting in their body, and from there I know their desire, and I give or grant them to worship the deity, demigod. Okay, So the next verse says that endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed on me only. Our living entity praying to the demigod, that prayers go to the Lord himself, and a demigod giving a boon is actually coming is actually the boon coming from the Lord himself. That's this verse says that endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Okay. And the next one is men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. So this is what we discussed. The fruits of those fruits of those boons which we get from the demigods are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet, which is our ultimate goal. Reaching the supreme planet of the Lord and serving the Lord is the ultimate goal of a living entity. So that's why it is avidhi purvakam. Even though the scriptures explains the procedures on how to pray to the demigods, but still it is avidhi purvakam, right? Because the ultimate goal is not achieved by those purposes or by those prayers to the demigods. Then the question arises, why the scriptures grant us to worship demigods? Why is it so? Right? So because when you are in a material world, you work on three things: dharma, artha, kama. Okay, dharma, artha, kama. A person who is negligent or who is not non-devotee or atheistic, right? He doesn't follow any religion, is more worst, or is not as good as a person who at least prays, who at least have the procedure, who at least follows the regulations, right? It comes first, the start is regulations, and then the devotion to the demigods, and they gradually progress towards the Sri Krishna or Bhakti Yoga. So now the point is, once a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, what do you think, who is better? A Christian praying Jesus, or a devotee praying Jesus, because Jesus is the son of the Lord, right? So he is directly praying the son of the Lord, or Jesus, let's say, is a God, or a devotee in India praying the demigods. Who is better? Srila Prabhupada mentioned the devotee praying the demigods in India is better than the devotees who are following the Christianity. You know why he said that? He said that because at least they are in the process of Vedic injunctions. They're in the process of that understanding of a deity form, understanding of worship, understanding of arati, understanding of darshan, understanding of going to temple. So these things are being built in them so that they gradually or eventually grow into the Krishna Bhakti, or they will turn into Bhakti Yoga. So that's why he mentioned that way. So now, that being said, okay, we are in the material world, right? And we have to worship demigod. Do we have to worship demigods? I mean, we have to worship. We need dharma, artha, moksha, dharma, artha, kama. Those are the three things which we have to fulfill. Then Krishna, like, can we go to Krishna for these things? Can Krishna fulfill these material desires? The answer for that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10. Okay, akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, udaradhi, the one with a broader intelligence, or the one with a greater intelligence, what he does is he'll approach Krishna, tivrena bhakti yogena. He'll approach the tivra bhakti yoga. What kind of person is he? If he has a desire of akama, if he doesn't have any desires, first condition, I mean, first type of person. Or he has sarvakama, if he wants all kinds of desires to be fulfilled, all material, I want this, I want that, anything. If he doesn't have no desires, or if he has all kinds of desires, or if he desires for the ultimate desire, which is moksha kama, which is a liberation, that intelligent person will always, even like whatever category he falls into, category of no desires, category of all desires, category of desiring to the the ulterior most goal, if he has any kind of desire, he will approach Purusham Param, the best of the, he'll approach the Lord, the supreme whole, the supreme personality of Godhead. So that is the verse, meaning Krishna can be approached for any kind of desires. If you have a desire, no desire, or if you desire for the service of the Lord in the Krishna Loka, then we can approach Krishna for anything. Okay. Yes, there are different categories, different types of people, but still it is better to approach Krishna for any kinds of desires instead of approaching demigods. So that is one thing I want to say. And the examples of Krishna bestowing desires of his devotees. Okay, Sudama Vipra was very, very poor. He doesn't have food to eat in general. Not only him, he had a family, his wife, children. They are very, very they were always they didn't have food to eat. At that time also, Sudama was so dedicated to the worship of Krishna. He was always remembering Krishna. He didn't go to demigods. He would have gone to demigods and would have got everything fulfilled, all his desires fulfilled, but he was praying to Lord Krishna. And eventually, he approached Krishna, and Krishna treated him as he made Sudama Vipra sat on his own bed. Bed is a personal item for anyone. It's a personal thing. We were planning, we were setting up a plan for renovating our house, right? And somehow the plan came in such a, like we're just renovating the house in such a way, like we're extending our house. We're not going to upstairs. So the plan, the master bedroom's entrance was coming through the kitchen, right? This engineer was telling, the architect was telling us what kind of one of the architects was telling them, what kind of a plan is this? Master bedroom is supposed to be a private. It is called as privacy. So why are you having a how, why are you allowing everyone in the kitchen to enter into your bedroom? It's direct entrance. So I was thinking that, so that master bedroom or a bed is a personal item, is a private thing for the owner of that house or the people living in that house. So Lord Krishna was so pleased with the activities or the devotional services provided by Sudama that he made him sat on his bed. Sudama is he made him sat on his bed. His Lakshmi Devi Rukmini Devi was doing a charmer to Sudama. So that was the respect you get, right? And by the time he left, Sudama left, he went back, he could not recognize his house. That was the opulence he was given. And that opulence was never taken away. Okay. Second example, Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj went, he was going out of the house. He was thinking that I need my greater kingdom than my father. Then he moved forward and he was thinking I need better kingdom than my grandfather. Then he moved forward and he said that I want much better than a kingdom than my great grandfather. His great grandfather is Brahmaji. So Brahmaji say he wanted opulence or the kingdom better than his great grandfather, the Brahma Loka. When he saw Krishna, Narayana, then he forgot everything. He was crying and the tears are flowing from his eyes, and he's saying to Lord that, Lord, I was asking for the broken pieces of glass in front of a diamond like you. So I don't want anything. But then also Krishna gave him a loka, which is called as Dhruva Loka. Okay. Before giving Dhruva Loka, Dhruva Maharaj ruled the kingdom for 10,000 years. 10,000 or 40,000 years, I think. He ruled the kingdom on this earthly planet, and he went back to his Dhruva Loka. So that is the opulence. That is the giving capacity of the Lord. That is how much Lord can give. And that Dhruva Loka is not diminished, or it's not going to fall down, or it's not going to disappear after that Brahma's life. No, it will stay there. That is a permanency. That is called as permanent uh, blessing. That is called as longevity. That is the kind of boons Krishna can give, right? Comparatively, that is the capacity Lord has, and he can give that to us. Okay, but sometimes Krishna, before he gives, he thinks about it. Is it really needed for my devotee? Will he sustain, or will does he have a capability to have or to carry forward that kind of a boon? So he thinks forward, he thinks about you, he thinks about us, and then he bestows the mercy. Example for that is once, you may all know of this story. The story is from Vishnu Puran, right? Narada Muni, Narada is a great devotee of the Lord. Sometimes, one time he was sitting in the forest, meditating upon the Lord, and Indra was jealous. Indra was envious about Narada Muni doing such a austerity. Then he thought, you all know, Indra will try to send some apsaras and all the stuff. So, but this time Indra sent Kamadev, and asked him to put Narada Muni in influence. But Narada Muni was so powerful, he didn't get into the illusion of Kamadev, and he just passed that illusion. So that got some kind of little bit of false ego or the arrogance in Narada Muni, and he started proclaiming everyone. He went to Brahmaji, he went to Shivji, he went to different demigods, and he said that, look, Indra tried to influence me with Kamadev, but I won over him. So he was very, very that little bit of this thing came in. But anyway, the story continues, and basically now there was an arrangement by Maya that there was a Maya Nagari, or a city of illusion, where there was a princess, and princess was ready to get married, and the father of the princess, or the king of that kingdom, asked Narada Muni to check the palm, to read the palm of the princess to whom she will get married. Then Narada Muni, while reading the palm of the princess, he got attracted to the princess. The palm reading said that this girl, or this princess, will be marrying the greatest person of the greatest person of the world, the ruler of the world. So he was thinking, this is me. I mean, I am the winner, so this is me. And he wanted to marry the princess at that point of time. And he went to Lord Vishnu and said that, please give me. But he pleaded with Lord Vishnu to give him the form of Hari. So Hari is Krishna himself, right? So he wanted the form of Krishna because the girl may be attracted for Swayamvar. Then he went in the Swayamvar. This princess was not paying attention to him. He got a form of Hari, but she was not attracted to him at all. He changed a couple of times. He changed his seat and tried to see her, but he didn't. She didn't pay any attention to him. Eventually, he was very much depressed, because he got to know. I mean, he was not understanding what's happening. He had a beautiful form, he was thinking, and she was not attracted to that form. Then Lord Hari appeared, Lord Vishnu appeared, and she put that Varamala, or that Swayamvar Mala, on the neck of the Lord Hari. That's why she became the wife. She's basically, it's an illusory city. So then Narada got very, very much, he got angry on Lord Hari, and he got to know that his form was Hari. When he asked for the form of Hari, Lord Vishnu made him a form of monkey. So his face was a monkey face. Hari, monkey is also called as Hari. So Lord Vishnu gave him the form of monkey. That's why they were all laughing and mocking him. Then he cursed Lord Hari in that anger. That's a different story. That's why Lord took the help of monkeys. He said that your wife will be stolen and you will take the help of monkeys. That's why in Rama Avatar, Lord took the help of monkey family. That's a different story. But the thing is, Lord thought, he thinks whenever he gives a boon, he thinks about the future. Narada Muni is the best devotee. Why would he want to go or take the family life? right? How much does it make a sense? A devotee on that stature, on that level of devotion, when he is trying to fall down to that earthly level, a lowly level, then why would Lord make it happen? So that's why he didn't fulfill the boon, but he give him a learning. Narada Muni said that, yes, thank you for not letting me do this and arranging this illusory world so that I don't fall down. I am your devotee. That's my purpose. So what we're learning here is like Lord doesn't want us to accidentally fall down into this material world. But what happens if we accidentally fall down? Lord is merciful enough to take us back. A devotee, if he falls down, then also Lord will pick us up. So does it mean that we intentionally fall down, we intentionally start making mistakes, intentionally start doing what we're not supposed to do? No, that is not the meaning of this. The purpose is like accidentally, if we fall down, accidentally we fail to perform some activities, or accidentally if we fail to live up to the devotional expectations, Lord is merciful enough to pick us up, because he has seen that he's merciful, his mercy, he's a compassionate to bring us up, and he knows this material world is very, very hard to come out of. So he's merciful enough. There are many examples like that, right? We can see throughout the scriptures there are many examples, and Lord will pick us up. So that being said, we have in this verse we have seen that Tepima Meva Konteya. So he says that even though demigods, even though living entities, they worship demigods, they're worshipping indirectly towards me, but that worship is unauthorized or avidhi purvakam. So better pray to us directly. Okay, that is the first point we discussed. And before I forget, I want to mention this also. Worshipping demigods is indirect, doesn't mean that we have all the right to blaspheme them, or we have all the right to disrespectful to them. No, that is not the right way, or that is not our intention or mood. We as a devotee, Vaishnava Janato, right? The Vaishnavas are very merciful, compassionate. They are very respectful even to the other living entities. What to talk about demigods? Demigods are the positions that were filled by the best people of this universe. So Lord arranges them every 72 Chatur Yugas, right? Brahmaji has, in one day of Brahmaji, there will be 14 manvantras, every manvantara, the demigods are being changed. We read about this in the Bhagavatam, right? So in morning sessions, that every manvantara, there are changes of demigods. So all these positions are filled according to the best personalities or the best living entities of that universe, and every manvantara. So they have, when a devotee is respecting other devotees, why not the demigods, the positions filled by the Lord himself? So we should be respectful for them. We should not be blaspheming, or we should not be disrespectful, or we should not be calling. See, we read about all these examples, and the attitude of disrespect comes into, it creeps in. So that has to be controlled. We have to be very, very respectful for everyone, especially demigods. Demigods are the direct representatives of the Lord. They are not Lord, but they are the representatives of the Lord. They have been assigned to their positions because they're capable of performing their duties perfectly. Okay, so that is one thing. And to close up, we have seen why we can, we talked about Tepimam Eva Kaunteya Ajanti Avidhi Purvakam. So demigod worship is allowed in the scriptures. Then demigods worship, the processes and procedures are already there in the scriptures. And why Krishna is saying here it is Avidhi Purvakam, we talked about it. And we talked about monotheistic philosophies which avail in the Middle East and other areas, right? And we talked about Krishna. Can we go to Krishna for desires? Yes or no? We talked about it. And we took some examples and saw how Krishna fulfills the desires, and what is the capacity of the desire, what is the desire fulfilling capacity of the Lord, right? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dharma Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dhanavad.
All glories to Shri Prabhu.
All Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, a few thoughts came in my mind while we were discussing some points regarding there are various demigods for various material inclinations and affinities. So we understand that the source and the primary sanctioner is Lord Krishna. So if, let's say, as practicing devotees or pure devotees, I wonder why I wonder why if there are demigods for spiritual affinities and spiritual inclinations. So we have so many material demigods. Do we have any spiritual demigods?
Very good question, Mataji. So, by spiritual, if you mean achieving Krishna or achieving the mercy of the Krishna, right? If you take if your question is about achieving the Lord of Krishna, your definition of spiritual is being achieving the Lord of Krishna. Yes, we can approach demigods to achieve Lord Krishna. We can pray to them and achieve Supreme Lord of Krishna. But they themselves, if by spiritual, if you mean that if you want to achieve the Goloka, they cannot provide that thing. What they can do is they can they have the control in this material world. So what they can do is like they will have their, let's say, Shani, they say Sade Saat or whatever the years, we get into the influence of Shani Maharaj. So when you approach Shani Maharaj and praise to him, saying that please give the mercy of the Lord, please be pleased with me so that I can pray to the Lord. That is the desire, but the desire is towards the achieving the Lord, right? Then Shani Maharaj may be little, he has a control on you on this material world, like the system, the settings, what he puts you. He will be little merciful, and he'll allow or make you pray to the Lord, or make the situation around you conducive towards the praying to the Lord. Okay, so that way, yes, they have that power, they can give that to you. But in the other way, like, okay, can I go to some demigod and ask them for the Goloka? No, they cannot. They don't have that capacity. Only Lord Krishna can give it. Okay, so does it make, yes, if you do we have demigod worship for achieving Krishna? Yes, you can go to any demigod, and now if you desire, Srila Prabhupada says that. That's why he says that, if you see this verse, at one point he says that, one second, AAP, with faith, right? With faith, and if the prayer is proper, in general, that's what Srila Prabhupada also mentions, that in multiple places, in general, if you go to the demigods, we know that the demigods can give us some material opulence. The mind, something creeps in the mind to go for a material way of asking questions, asking or fulfilling its desires, so material desires. That was Srila Prabhupada mentions that it's better not to go to the demigods, but if you go to demigods for the purpose of achieving Krishna, that is okay. There is nothing wrong about that. That's what Srila Prabhupada mentions. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, and I'm happy that you brought this mention of Shani Maharaj, okay? And we understand that this, I don't know, in Hindi you said something, Sade Sati and something. So we all know astrology, we all know Vedic astrology, and we somehow or the other, even though we are practicing, we hear, okay, our stars are negative or positive, and Shani Maharaj has to be pleased, and so way. So we understand the positioning, and we also do some remedies in order to make the conducive environment in our situations. We do that, but at the same time, we also believe that Lord Krishna can change anything and everything if you practice bhakti.
True.
So we are doing both the things at the same time. Is it true or no?
I didn't understand what you're saying, that being true. Like, you're saying that
True in the sense, Prabhuji, that we know that in order for us to please the Lord, we have to approach the Lord in a different way, not by praying to demigods or material benefits, but trying to tell the demigods that we want to please the Supreme Lord. So give us that and energy and encouragement. But we also see the positioning of different planets and stars are not conducive in bhakti process, depending on our situations and circumstances. So we approach Vedic astrology and that expertise or knowledge, body of knowledge,
Yes,
so that
Mataji.
we get proper remedies to do that.
Correct, Mataji.
So my question is, we do say that we either follow Vedic astrology to make stars and positioning of those stars good, or we directly just surrender to Lord Krishna.
Very good, Mataji. So I was there is a very good show run by this Chowpatty devotees. Ek Mulakat Bhakti ke Saath or something like that in YouTube. Okay.
Ji. Mhm.
They brought in some Mataji. I'm really sorry, I forgot her name. And she's a Vedic astrologer. She's a devotee of ISKCON and she's a Vedic astrologer. I was listening to her. She mentions one thing. You are a devotee. When it is cold outside, don't you wear a sweater?
Mhm.
Do you wear sweater or no? Like when it's snowing,
Yes.
right? We wear a
Yes.
jacket. When it is hot, we make sure that we are covered, right? It's like a weather. According to for weather also, you if you're a devotee, you should not be like reckless. According to the situation, according to the stage you are in, you should have your own protection, right? Yes, we are devotees of Krishna. Krishna is capable of taking you out. He can, even though it is cold, he'll not make you feel cold. He has the capability. He can do that. But do we really so reckless that we want Krishna to protect you for just this kind of weather changes? That was her question. So what I'm saying here is, yes, performing or watching or checking the planets or the movements and other things is good in such a way as it doesn't hamper our devotion. Okay, first point. The second point I want to continue here is that while we are doing that, right, we should not lose the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is the devotion to the Lord. Okay, so the devotion to the Lord cannot be secondary. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. 1 second. Can you go from here? So yeah, I think so we have to watch ourselves. We have to follow the rules. We have to have our protection, because not everyone is in the same level. There are some devotees who are who are completely dedicated. They have nothing except Krishna, right? They have complete faith. They do only Krishna service. They don't do anything. They're not relying upon this material world, or they don't depend upon they don't depend upon the job. They don't depend upon the house. They don't have family members. Then yes, they don't have to completely, they can completely reject all other policies or all other procedures and follow this. But when until we are in this material world, there are material activities where grihasthas, at least me, grihasthas. So following the other things, protection, whatever is required, we have to do it. Does it answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, it does. Yes, partially it does. I'm satisfied partially.
Okay, why partially? Tell me. Let's talk about it now.
Because see, we know what we are saying is that we take these approaches or different approaches to make our life towards bhakti and be more supportive and conducive, right? We don't want to do it in a way which is reckless, but at the same time we do understand that there are life-changing decisions or circumstances that you are faced with where you are like, okay, do I do this or do I not do this? It's not being reckless, Prabhu. It's just being understanding the whole situation holistically and then choosing a life path.
Whenever it comes to the path or a decision-making point, where
Mm.
one side it is devotion, the other side it is something else.
Mm.
It is always devotion side, or it is always the Krishna side we should take, right? The
Mm.
choices, I always talk about this, right? We always end up in a wide junction, right? One wide junction, the one is the going to some other way, the other way, like, one way is going from, at that point when you're standing there, the decision has to be made. Can we go this way or this way? Then the
Mm.
way which will take you to the devotional side, that should get the priority. All others will be secondary,
Mm. Mm.
right? So
Yes.
the decision making points, when you say yes, it is always Krishna, but in general, can we depend, or can we not depend, but can we follow the shastric ways? Like, some people do vastu. Yes, vastu has to be followed. Vastu is a scripture. Vastu devatas have to be fulfilled. They have to be like, you get vastu remedies and all the stuff that has to be done. Because if you don't do that vastu, you cannot perform your bhakti. Yes,
Mm.
if you are, see, Krishna can protect you. There is no doubt about that. There is not even a single doubt about that. Krishna will protect you. But are you so good to just depend upon Krishna's mercy? I'm asking that question because we, in the family life, we make so many mistakes. We're not even qualified to go to that level. Krishna is merciful. He'll still take you, but at the same time, we have to cover ourselves. We have to protect ourselves with these kinds of what do you call it? Like, abnormalities that we have done.
Anomalies.
From anomalies from different lifetimes, not only this life. That's why we have to get some support from the demigods, be respectful to them. And doesn't mean that we are completely depending upon them, like, I don't want to go. For example, I'll tell you one thing. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to believe in one thing. He believed that stepping out or going for a good work on Thursday is not good. Do you know this? I was reading one book, I don't remember where, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is a guru of Srila Prabhupada, right? He doesn't want to step out of the house, or he doesn't want to go for a good work on Thursdays. So what he used to do is he used to keep his sandals out of the door. He used to leave the sandals out of the house, or almost out of the house on the Wednesday night itself, or Wednesday evening itself. So it is like he's going on Wednesday night. Does it make sense? So he used to follow that. Like, acharyas, they follow this. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. So what is conducive and supportive to devotional service is the point of your decision where you choose between that and this, and please the demigods or different planets.
See, if you don't have to please, don't please. It's not compulsory. Okay. But don't be disrespectful. Disrespecting demigods is not acceptable. Lord is not pleased with such activity. Lord does not, he doesn't like devotees to be disrespectful, arrogant, envious. Envious is the worst thing, envy, arrogance, and then comes the disrespect. Disrespecting other devotees or other living beings itself, he cannot take it. Then you are disrespecting the demigods who he appointed them. They're the representatives of the Lord. So how can he accept that?
Very true. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Actually, I had a question, like maybe, like, I don't know, it was always there in my mind that in lots of pastimes of Lord Krishna and also in Sri Ram, we have seen that Lord, like Krishna himself was like worshipping some of the demigods, right? Like, I'm not talking about like, there are two different concepts, like respecting the demigods and worshipping the demigods. They're two different things. So, but in this particular case, like in case of Sri Ram also, we have seen about like Rameshwaram, that's very famous, like so where Sri Ram had worshipped like Lord Shiva. And in Sri Krishna's pastime also, Sri Krishna's father Nanda Baba, he used to worship like Lord Shiva, right? Like there was a pastime with that, I remember, like he went to do some puja on that day, like it was
Right,
Shivratri.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm just trying to understand what is the message which is given to us, like when we read about such things.
Yeah, good question, Mataji. It's very good. In the class, if I remember, I told you, when you were in this material world, there are three things that has to be followed: Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Right? Dharma is religiosity. Artha means opulence, like the living, and Kama is desires. So these three things have to be fulfilled. That is the every living entity has to go through this. They'll have this kind of desires, right? And the right way, that desires can be fulfilled by the demigods here. Okay, so in the case of the first example you took was Ram, right? Rama performed, they say in Ramayana also it says that Rama performed that Navaratri and all those things. That can be possible because when you're in this material world, he is acting as if as a human being, and he is setting an example that if you want to win a war, you should have you should get the blessings of Durga Devi right now, or the Navratri Ma. So what should we learn from it? Unless you are in the pure devotional service, all these things are okay. Like if you are in a pure devotional service where you have nothing but Krishna himself as your goal, and to go to that goal, you don't have to do all these things. But if you're not, like not many of us are in that level, first of all. I mean, I don't know about you all, but at least not me. So what I'm trying to, the point, or the points what all these examples show here is that it sets an example for a living entity. Like if you want some kind of act to be performed, so we need to approach these demigods. For example, gopis, they're the dear devotees of the Lord himself. They were Radharani, they were praying to Katyayani Devi, right? So when they are praying to Katyayani Devi, their aim was to achieve Krishna. As I said in the earlier examples, when you approach a demigod for the purpose of Krishna, that is fine. Okay, so if you take the example of Radharani and gopis, they pray to Katyayani to get Mother Katyayani, to get Krishna as their husband. Okay, so that is approved. But in the case of Ram, he is setting an example to the human beings in general that if you want power, if you want to win a war, then you have to approach Durga Mata, because she is the controller of this universe. Durga, like she is the killer, Durga of this whole universe. So what is the message we're getting from here is, like, if you are not in a pure devotional service, at least follow these steps or follow these processes, so that on one day we will be easily, we can easily, or we can be in the path of devotion someday. Bhakti yoga, the ultimate goal, can be achieved. So after fulfilling this Dharma, Artha, Kama, three things in this material world, and then you get into the transcendental mode, and then from the transcendental mode you can achieve Krishna. Does it make sense, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking is like gopis. Yeah, definitely that example is there in the pastime where gopis used to pray Katyayani Mataji. But in like the pastimes that I was talking about was where Lord himself was like, trying to worship like Shivji, or like, like in case of Rameshwaram. So like, yeah, that's what was little like confusing, or like actually people tend to ask like lots of questions around it. So that is why I was trying to think of a very good, like, convincing answer, like
When whatever the activities performed by Sri Ram is direct setting an example for the normal human beings, Mataji. As a king, he was setting an example of a human being. Lord Ram doesn't have to have only one wife, right? Krishna Leela, he's open. Every living entity is a part and parcel of him himself. But he followed it to set an example for the human being. So we cannot take an example of Lord Ram, first point. And second point is, like, the relation between Lord Shiva and Lord Ram or Lord Krishna, they're different. They're in different paradigm completely. We cannot even assume or imagine what kind of relation they have. So those examples, yes, if you say Lord performing activities like Durga Devi or other things, it's a different story, but we cannot take an example of Lord Ram praying to Lord Shiva, or Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnuji praying to Lord Shiva. Those are different things. That's a different class in itself to explain their relationship. So
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I just want to share. In the Bhagavatam also, it was mentioned, I think in Canto 1 or 2, I don't remember. Like if you need power, you worship certain demigod. If you need this energy, you can perform demigod. So that's. But Prabhuji, Krishna said it's a wrong way, but unauthorized is like, I felt it's a different word altogether. When you mentioned unauthorized.
Yeah,
because Ram cannot do unauthorized things, right? It's a wrong way. I mean, instead of catching a mouse directly, if you're watching demigod means you're going indirect way. So that's the wrong way. But if you say unauthorized, I felt that's not the right word, probably. And one more thing I felt like,
let's take this first.
Yeah, sure, probably.
Yeah, thank you, Ajay Prabhu, for pointing it out. Yes, unauthorized. Yeah, I don't know where I picked that word from. Yes, that's not the correct way to do it. And Srila Prabhupada also translates it to a wrong way. So maybe where did I pick that word from? I don't know. So yeah, you were right, Prabhu. Unauthorized is not the. It is unauthorized, or it's not authorized, or it is not the right way to do it. Can we say it as unauthorized? No, there are processes given in scriptures. Yeah, I mean, we're not. You got the concept, right? You got the top, like the point is like it. Can we call it authorized? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm using the wrong word. Maybe there.
Yeah, wrong way is, I felt nice, but because Krishna don't enforce anything in his. If you take any sloka, he never says don't do this, don't do that. He just, if you do like this will happen. So he does not enforce. If you do this, you are finished. You are done. Or Krishna never says like that.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'll think about. I don't know why I use unauthorized word. Maybe I read it somewhere, but I'll think about it. And if I find anything different, I'll let you know, Prabhu. Right
If I may, I don't think unauthorized is wrong to say. It will depend on the context in which it is being used. So, Prabhupada, or when it is said unauthorized worship of demigods, in the context of bhakti, because if we go to demigod and we worship a demigod, that I want money, I want a great job. End of the day, it is all for a sense gratification. So from a perspective of bhakti, it is unauthorized. Krishna is only giving it. The demigod himself has no power, so to say. It is just a department of where it is being channeled. So if your goal is bhakti, then demigod worship is sarva dharman parityaja, his instruction. Then there's no question of doing that. But however, as you mentioned, your dharma, artha, and dharma, artha, and kam. Dharma, artha, and kama. Dharma, artha, kama, if we understand, whatever my understanding a little bit is, it is so that we can regulate our senses in such a way rather than just be wild, running behind, bring regulation. So when our physical body and the gross and subtle body is channelized in a particular way, then we can come to a stage where the bhakti can start, or at least the beginning. Just left loose, we are like animals. So for that procedure, in that context, even though I'm asking something for the body, I'm regulating it. So there are these penances, like you gave these examples of people who did penances. It is regulating or doing that tapasya or whatever it is. So you channelize it, and the goal, whether anything, the ultimate goal is always Krishna and bhakti. Even yoga, whatever we are doing, the asanas, this, that, and all, it is for ultimate goal is to, what are we trying to do? We are just trying to be regulated. So my point of view, Prabhu, and whatever I've understood a little bit, is unauthorized from the context of bhakti. But Lord Ramchandra, Lord Nanda Baba, they are, of course, they are at a different plane. And when they're doing this is always to set an example. And now the example, there could be two classes of people. There is a class of person who's still very much caught up in the bodily concept. So an example set to them so that by doing these practices, they can get a little closer to their real purpose in life. And for somebody who is already on that path, there is no need to get on to doing all that. Now, we, as you rightly said, each one of us is at a different level on the path. Now, someone may be way ahead, someone may be way behind. And what I found very significant is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, this may seem like superstition. And in India, especially, there are so many, there are so many of these things. But people are just doing it end of the day for the bodily. Now, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj is, whatever he's doing is good only. There is no, every day is good and every moment is good. Whatever he's speaking is pure only, whatever is over there. So his point of view, where he keeps his this outside, it just struck me when you were saying that, Prabhu. It is for devotees or people who are trying to be devotees like you and me, like you just don't, that other Mataji had asked, Shani, whatever that Shani ka ye hai, wo hai, and all that. And as they gave that Mataji's example, sweater we wear. So they are acharyas. And in one sense is, you be careful. Just because you think you have come on the path of devotee, don't think yourself too great. Be grateful. Something like that. And Savita also gave a very nice point when you were mentioning about Lord Ramchandra. Maybe she'll want to say it, or
Yeah, Prabhu, please. Yeah, thank you for chipping in.
Thank you, Prabhu. If any mistake,
Clarifying.
please.
Yeah, that's good. Savita Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhu. No, nothing. I was just thinking that just in addition to what you said, I agree that when we take Lord Ram's example, what one Mataji was mentioning, that, he prayed to Lord Shiva, I think the way we see it is Lord Ram came and all these avatars come to teach us how to behave. Lord Ram was known as, the most exemplary human being, so to say, quote unquote. So when he obeyed his father to take Vanvas, does that mean his father was higher than Ram? On the spiritual level, he wasn't. There was no one above Lord Ram, right? Except we know Lord Krishna, of course. But so I think the thing what we have to see is that he obeyed his father, and that's an instruction for us of how we should be respecting, obeying our elders, and that was one thing. And I think the second thing is about praying to demigods, is if we can pray to demigods, like praying to Lord Ganesh, he's known as the remover of all obstacles. So we can pray to Lord Ganesha that I'm starting a new business, please remove all obstacles or whatever it is. And we can also pray to him to remove any obstacles we may have, that we can overcome any obstacles that come in our devotional service. So I think what we ask for the demigods and why we ask for it is very important. And if we go with the praying with the right perspective, then dovetail everything in Krishna's service, then that's the right way of doing it. That's all, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji.
So we can pray to win a lottery, the Mega Million, Powerball, and then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, right? 50% of grasti you should do for serving of the Lord, 25% keep for yourself, 25% for your retirement.
Yeah, so thank you for chipping in, Amritananda Prabhu and Savita Mataji. So, anyone has any other questions? So this unauthorized thing, Prabhuji has explained also. So I think it's going to be repetitive. I picked up that word from somewhere. I'm sure I have read some book or something, or I heard somewhere. I can share that later if it is required. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for taking time patiently and explaining everything.
Yeah, thanks to Amritananda Prabhu and Mataji also to jump in to make it much more clearer.
Thank you,
Prabhu. You
Thank
gave a very nice explanation. Thank you. Mata also made a good point. Mataji also posted in chat. You could read it out.
Not approved like colleges. Thank you, Nita Mataji. All right, so let's wrap this up. Panchakalpatarubhyascha
Chakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you. Thank you, Hari Kishore Prabhu. Very nice class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.